Hey, what's up? How you doing? Beautiful day, so I thought I'd film outside today because not a whole lot of beautiful days where I live. It's a lot of rain in the spring. So I hope you enjoy the change of scenery and that it doesn't get too loud via dogs barking, birds chirping, noises of such things that come from being outside. So if you're in high school, 'tis the season for applying to get into college, picking what college you want to get into, and those sorts of things. Very stressful but very exciting time. So whether you have already picked the schools that you've applied to and you're just waiting on a response, or if you don't even know which schools to apply to yet, you can't decide, or if you have gotten all your applications back, you've been accepted to certain schools and you just can't pick which one, or even if you're just trying to decide if you want to transfer schools, if you're in college right now and you're thinking about switching. I'm here today hopefully to help you make that decision if you have been struggling with it. Just give you a couple little things to think about when making the very important decision of what college to go to. So let's just get into this. Alright, now the first one. It's pretty simple, but it's just the ability to get into the school. So if you're applying right now and you have not yet been accepted to any schools yet and you're just trying to pick which ones to apply for, you got to take into consideration the probability that you're going to get in. If you got a 3.5 GPA, didn't do so hot on the ACT, SATs, and you don't have a whole lot of extracurriculars, you might not want to be shooting for Harvard. A lot of times when you are applying to schools, there's an application fee, at least in America. I don't think this is the same with other countries, but I know in America you do have to pay a lot of times to send in an application. I don't know why. Colleges are obsessed with money. This is not news. So if you want to not spend a bunch of money sending your applications to a bunch of different schools and you just want to pick a select few that you are applying to, you need to be wise about which ones you choose. You need to make sure that you're not just shooting for the stars, but you're probably gonna miss. You know what I'm saying? Shoot for the stars that you can reasonably get. But hey, if you want to apply to other ones and money's no object, or you just don't care, you're just willing to apply to a bunch of different schools, go for it. But this is really a tip if you're trying to limit how many schools you're applying to. Next, if you are trying to decide what school to go to, whether it be you've already applied or you have been accepted to a bunch of schools and you're just trying to decide. My dog is running across the porch. Here it comes again. Oh, hey, buddy. There's a plane. Hello. Sadly, money is something that we just have to think a lot about, and it's become a big issue amongst college students. You have to decide the amount of debt that you're willing to go in to go to school, or if you're trying to not go into any debt at all, something you gotta take into consideration. Because sadly, school is very expensive, and you're probably gonna wanna minimize the damage it does to your pocketbook. Does anyone say pocketbook anymore? Looking at prices, looking at scholarships, that kind of stuff. Obviously things that you're gonna wanna take into consideration. This is probably really obvious, these first 2 points. But if you're debating between a couple of different schools and there's one that you have gotten a lot of scholarships to and you won't go into debt if you go to that school, versus one that you probably would go into debt, I mean, there's things you gotta think about. Pros and cons. Is it worth it to go into debt to go to the one school versus the other one that you got the scholarships to that is cheaper? Alright, next, getting into stuff that is maybe a little bit less super obvious. You're gonna want to look into the major programs of your university. You could be going into college having no idea what you want to do with your life, or you could be going into college having an absolute 100% yes, this is the track that I want for my life. This is my major, this is gonna be my minor. I have a 10-step plan for how my future is going to play out, and I'm gonna follow it exactly. If you know what you're gonna do with your life or what you want to do with your life. Obviously looking into the programs at your school that are for what you want, very crucial. You want to find a school that has the best program offered for you and what you want to do. If you want to go into business, that's probably a pretty common major for people to go into, and so a lot of schools probably have pretty decent business programs, but look and see if you can find one that's really well renowned for their college of business. For like me, you're wanting to film stuff and journalism stuff, then look at schools around you that have really strong film programs, really strong journalism programs, and you might not even know what it means to have a strong program in your major. But do they have extracurricular activities for you to do within that major? Do they have really well-known professors who are really good at their stuff? Do they have great reviews online on their Rate My Professor stuff for the types of professors in your field, or are they all pretty crappy? Do they seem to put a lot of money into the program that you want? Does the College of Film get a lot of money? And it at my school, or do they generally tend to take money that could be spent there and throw it into College of Science or Wellness or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, just be looking for that kind of stuff. Look at where the priorities of that university lie, and if they lie within your major, or at least your major is up there in one of the top programs that they care about, then that's a good thing. Or if they care about all their majors and all their majors are great, then even better. Next one, something again you may or may not think of usually, but it's crime safety. Are you going to be moving into an area that is known for people getting shot up all the time, or sexually assaulted frequently? Whenever you hear about them in the news, is it somebody being murdered? You know, just things to think about. You don't want to be necessarily moving to a town that is super crime ridden, or moving to a university that is pretty well known for not having great security. Might not be at the top of your list when you're making your decision, but should probably be considered. Next is the overall college experience at that university. You probably know generally the type of experience that you want to get out of college, whether it be you're really interested in the social aspects, you want to join Greek life, you want to go to frat parties, you want to really have the stereotypical college experience. You will want to look at that, and when you're looking for universities, you want to see how active their Greek life is and how good it is. Just the general social life of the universities, you'll want to be looking at that so that you can be assured that you will get that experience out of university. My university doesn't necessarily have a super well-known Greek life. Because I couldn't care less about Greek life stuff, that's fine for me, but for somebody who's really interested in that kind of stuff, that might put a bit of a damper on that college experience for them. If you're really interested in strictly the schoolwork, strictly what your major is, then you're definitely going to want to be looking at a school that focuses very highly on academics, or very highly in the program that you are interested in. If you're athletic and you care about the athletics of your school, then definitely look into that and how good their athletics are. If you're into athletics, so you probably already know all the universities that have the best stuff. But again, just things to consider. You get my point, I hope. A lot of things that I don't think people think of as much when they're looking for universities is the clubs that are offered. I don't know why. That was like one of the main things I looked at when I picked my university, because there was a couple of clubs at my university that are like award-winning and really well-renowned. Very, very, very crucial for my minor and what I really want to do with my life. And that's something I think people should look at too, the different clubs available, and if there are great clubs within your field of what you want. So that way you're not just getting your education from your classes, you're also getting great experience and hands-on experience from clubs that you join at your university as well. Next, if you're going into college with an undecided major, you will definitely want to be looking at schools that have just an abundance of good programs. And that's not just really well known for like one or two really good things. Like, oh, they have a really great medical program or pre-med program, but then the rest of their programs are just sort of Like, that's great if you're interested in going pre-med, but if you're not and you decide you want to go into marketing but their marketing program isn't that great, then you're out of luck and you're going to be stuck in a program that isn't that good. But if you go to a school that's pretty well diversified with the different strengths that they have, then when you do pick a major, you are more likely to pick one that they have a good program at that university for. And then the last thing that you will probably want to take into consideration is how far away from home it is from you. If you really want to get as far away from home as possible, then you'll want to pick a university that's pretty far away, obviously. But if you want to stay near your family, then you're going to probably have to be looking at schools in state. That's another thing if you want to save money. In-state tuition for public schools is a lot lower than out-of-state tuition. So if you want to stay close to home, you have to look at schools within a certain radius of your home, and that will limit you on what you can do. But you just sort of have to tell yourself, okay, I'm willing to move 30 minutes away from home, an hour away from home, 2 hours away from home, 5 hours away from home, whatever, you know what I mean? So that way you can be looking at universities within that distance to help you make your choice. It will narrow down the pool of universities you can be looking at, which can sort of help not overwhelm you because you now have a more limited amount of schools to look at. So those are all my tips. Then it gets to the hard part really, which is looking at everything that is laid out and all the things you need to be looking at and deciding the best school for you based off of all that stuff, plus whatever other things that you want to take into consideration. Perhaps make a pros and cons list and give yourself little ticks on there, little ratings on there for each school to help you decide. So anyway guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found it helpful. If you did, you can give it a like. You can also subscribe to me I put out new videos every single Friday. I also have a college playlist with a lot of college videos on there. If you're interested, you can definitely check that out. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye guys.